Good. We go. All right. My name is Coach Sami Dhianga from Nairobi, and here I'm having Ammy. Ammy is a drowning researcher. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Dr. Amy Peden. I'm a Senior Research Fellow in the School of Population Health at the University of New South Wales. I co-founded the UNSW Beach Safety Research Group, and I've been doing research on drowning prevention since 2007.
All right. Ammy, maybe you could tell us what motivated you to start drowning research?
That's an excellent question. I just started as a research officer while I was doing my master's in public policy. I'd never really thought about drowning as an issue, but I learnt to swim. I was fortunate enough to learn to swim, and I love to swim. And I think it's really important that everyone has the opportunity to learn to swim and they can enjoy the water safely when it's hot. So when I learned about the issue, it just attracted me. It was an easy topic to get behind, and it's just what I've decided to make my life's focus, I guess.
Awesome. During your research time, which age would you say it is at high risk of drowning?
Yes, well, I'm from Australia, so we have very good data actually on fatal drowning. Our non-fatal data is predominantly from the hospital system, and it is not as detailed, but our fatal drowning data is very detailed. In terms of the rate of drowning, it's children under 5, as it is in a lot of countries. In Australia, though, it is predominantly, under 1 is the bathtub, but our real highest risk is 1 to 3 years of age, commonly into backyard swimming pools, where the gate has been propped open or hasn't closed properly. Pools are required to be fenced by law in Australia, but they're often not compliant, and the gate doesn't latch, and children get in when they're unsupervised. And then in rural areas, it can be farm dams or water bodies around the home that children wander into, but supervision is really the kind of key factor in all of these deaths.
All right. In comparison to men and women who tend to drown, what number is higher in terms of drowning?
Yes. So I think Australia is very typical of a lot of countries, maybe every country in the world, in the sense that men drown in much higher numbers and proportions than women. So men make up about 80% of our drowning statistics. And in rivers, which is a particular area of interest for me, inland waterways, it's even higher, closer to 90%, and often involving alcohol. So unfortunately, it's males that are drowning 4 times as much as females. And we don't yet know why. It's often a lot of risk-taking behaviour, alcohol, not wearing a life jacket, and maybe doing riskier things when they're in the water. But it can be a very difficult group to try and change behaviour in, and it's something we're continuing to work on.
Okay. When you're picking a topic to research on, what motivates you to pick that particular topic, and how long does it take to complete a research topic?
That is a really good question. Sometimes it's need. So someone comes with a question, or a donor has a research project that we apply for the funding and are successful. So sometimes it is not dictated by us. But if it is dictated by us, I think often it comes from my background. So I grew up in a very small town, 5 hours inland from the coast. And so I'm very passionate about drowning issues that face small inland communities. So drowning in rivers, drowning on the farm, inland communities that don't have as much medical assistance if something goes wrong. That is my passion. And it depends on the type of project. I mean, if you have to start from project design through to ethics and data and analysis, then it can take some time, maybe a year or so.
All right. So I'm interested to know how you obtain your data and information. Do you go yourself to swimming pools? How do you do it?
So in terms of drowning statistics, fatal drowning, we are very fortunate in Australia. We have something called the National Coronial Information System. So every sudden and unexpected death in Australia, of which drowning is one, it has to be investigated by a coroner to determine, was anyone at fault, how did it occur, how do we prevent it. So every case like that is put online, and you can go through a very long and complex ethical process to gain access to this. But then we're able to identify through media, through rescue reports, through police reports, incidents of drowning, find them in the coronial system, and look at the autopsy, the police report, the toxicology report, and the coroner's finding. And it gives us really, really rich information. So there's not really any system like that in the world that I'm aware of. And it's pretty amazing, but we still have to pull in data from other sources like the media or police.
Okay. Now, I've heard you have a very rich background or rather history in drowning research. And I'd like to know, have you taken your time to do research in Africa?
I have not, except for very recently, I have partnered with Life Saving South Africa, and we did do some research looking at the feasibility and acceptability of online flood safety training for lifesavers in South Africa and surrounding areas, and we did that via surveys and some qualitative open text responses. So that is the first collaboration that I've done, which is in South Africa with Life Saving South Africa and Dr. Colleen Saunders. But I hope to do more work because we know there are very high drowning rates in the African region, and research in drowning is really an emerging field. So I'd love to collaborate and support if I can.
All right. Listening to your history, you are more based into Australia, and it's not a low or rather middle-income country. Would you want to probably work with the low and middle-income countries in doing this research?
Yes, absolutely. So we know that that's where drowning rates are highest. I'm happy to collaborate with anyone that needs assistance or wants to partner on research. I think at the moment an area of key focus for us in Australia is our Pacific neighbours and our island states that are very at risk of drowning due to climate change. But really I have collaborators all over the world and very happy to collaborate with anyone that needs it, but really do encourage people in low and middle income countries to get interested in drowning and work on the research, because the more we know about how to prevent it, the better.
All right. Do you have a number off your head of the research that you have done?
That's a difficult question because I've been doing it for a very long time. I think I have over 140 research papers, but then we do reports and we talk to the media and we produce conference presentations, so probably too many to count, but it's something that when you get into drowning, it's very hard to leave. Everyone's very passionate about the topic, so often it doesn't really feel like work. So, yeah, the more the better.
Awesome. So where can we get these papers and the links? Is it possible to access them? And where can we go and find them?
Yes, so we have some research up on our Beach Safety Research Group website. We also produce blogs which kind of explain the research in more simple terms for people who may not be from a research background. Most research is in academic journals, and so you might need to Google me or Google a topic and see what comes up. Particularly you can use Google Scholar. Some things can be quite hard to access if they're behind a paywall and they're not published open access, but authors love to share their work. So if there's something you want to read and you can't access it, I'd really encourage you to reach out and email the author. Right. That's usually available, and they will always send you a copy.
All right, Ammy, it was a privilege interviewing you, definitely meeting you and knowing you. What are your closing remarks?
It's really lovely to do something like this. We don't often get the opportunity, and it's really great to make new connections here in new countries and hear about all the work that's going on around the world. And I just would really encourage people to take an interest in drowning prevention, learn how you can reduce your risk of drowning. Yep. And for those researchers who are looking for a topic, we always need more researchers in drowning, particularly in low and middle income contexts. So I think we're a great group of researchers and practitioners in drowning prevention, and I'd encourage people to kind of take an interest in this topic.
All right. Thank you, Ammy. We are waiting for you in Africa, definitely.
Can't wait.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.